Hey everyone, my name is Tommy, and here are my 2019 stock picks. First is Microsoft. They are the most public traded company. Right now, they're up 27%. That is ahead of all the FANG stocks, which is Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, and Alphabet. Some of the services that Microsoft has is the Azure, which is the iCloud computing service. They have Office 365. The search engine, they have Bing, um, and they have LinkedIn, of course. Um, Microsoft, they creating the Netflix of games, which means that you can stream Netflix from all different devices, and so Microsoft is trying to adopt that same concept just in the gaming industry. You'll be able to play your game off any device, and yeah, you can go.
All right. So my name is Aaliyah. And so for my top stock picks for 2019, my first one I'm gonna say is Visa. And I'm gonna go with Visa just because if you think about our world today and like how the culture is shifting, people are carrying cash less and carrying cards more. And so I see the potential growth for Visa to go up there. Like they're doing great numbers right now. And this cultural shift, I see like a big potential for capital appreciation in their stock price because it's a great company fundamentally. And so just looking at some of the things like the shift in culture, like I said, from using cash to using cards, more people are using debit cards now. More people have credit cards, and they have multiple at that. So the shift from like cash to cards and things like that, like Visa, the payment actually processing of Visa is growing at a double digit rate right now. And so on all areas, like their financial earnings are absolutely phenomenal. They're growing at double digit revenue rate, which I think is about, let me look right here. So I think, yeah, double digit growth in revenue, 13%, double digit growth in payments volume. And double digit growth in earnings. Like what company can you say out there right now that has two of those things, double digit revenue growth and double digit earnings?
Oh my
It's
God.
kind of crazy how fast their company is growing right now, and I only see it growing faster in the future. So the bull case for Visa, I think, is a very strong case, and I'm a big believer in Visa. It has been great so far to me. They have a great balance sheet. They have ample like cash reserves, and they have very little debt, so they can service their debt with the cash that they have now. They have very high liabilities and very low I mean, they have very high assets and very low liabilities. And so this is a great company all around, which I think has so much more room for growth. But when I'm assessing stocks, I also like to look at like risk factors. So I can name a couple of risk factors for Visa going forward. And so you see, like I said, the shift from like cash to using cards and things like that in restaurants, movies, wherever you go, people just use cards, right? One risk factor is that payment processing, such things as like Venmo and Cash App, like people use those for payment like increasingly more, and I use those a lot too. So even like small businesses may use things like that. So that may be a risk factor in that you don't need a card necessarily to pay for different services or for people to people transactions. So um, that's one risk factor for Visa. But all in all, I think Visa is a great company, and it's a great company. It's going to be one of the top companies for 2019 and going forward.
Well, somebody did their homework on Visa.
Yes,
But
Visa is great.
yeah. um, One thing I did leave off with Microsoft is the dividend. Going back to 2005, the dividend has been increasing over the years, and not only has it been increasing, but it has been rising as of now to this date. But my second pick for 2019 is ACD. It's relatively a young business, a young industry. The cannabis space is
Yeah.
still, huh?
No, I was just saying, yeah. Uh huh.
Yeah, it's still a young industry, and so I know a lot of people are sketchy about it, but time will reveal. As in research, as I've been doing research on ACD, I see that eventually they'll be number one in producing cannabis in kilograms. The number is about 700,000 total by like 2021, 2020 or 2021. They should be able to produce about 700,000 kilograms. Um, they're up about 80% today. So the growth is there. They not only grow cannabis, but they also are a medical marijuana company first. They have about 73,000 patients that they service. Um, ACB is internationally minded. They are across 23 international markets, covering about 9 continents. So it's a pretty good space. They also sell cannabis oils and soft gels, and yeah.
Yeah. So listen to this dude because this dude knows everything about cannabis, like cannabis stocks, cannabis, like the whole industry. Like he's in everything. So yeah. You want to shout out your Instagram page?
At Cannabis Stocks Talks.
Yeah.
I believe
Yeah.
that's it.
So that's gonna be a big industry. So listen, I'm looking to start a position in Aurora, and also looking at like all the different companies out there. Like it's gonna be a big space. So you guys should check it out. All the different cannabis stocks out there. All right. So for me, my second top stock pick for 2019 would be, it's one of the most popular social media giants out there right now. Facebook, of course, Facebook, like the top social media giant. Out of all these social media networks right now, what are most people on? Most people are on Facebook. They have like kind of like this monopoly on like everything right now because if you're an advertiser, where are you looking to advertise to? The company that has the most mobile active users, the most daily active users, not mobile, monthly active users, and the most daily active users. And Facebook has monthly active users of 2.3 billion people. With 7 billion people in the world, that's just crazy amount of numbers of people that are actually on Facebook and using it. So like you want to advertise to, like the most amount of people, like you're gonna choose Facebook. So most people want to advertise through Facebook. Obviously, if you look at the revenues, like it's just been increasing. So Facebook still, like, it's been around for a while, but it's still having amazing growth to this day. They are growing new ads to their platform to this day. And so I think this is amazing growth going forward. With that being said, there are a lot of news out right now, a lot of negative news about Facebook. Like, they had the Cambridge Analytica scandal where the stock took a drop. They had like other things that were happening. They have like privacy concerns. And it just came out very recently that they put passwords out in plain text, which obviously is a huge no-no if you're any like big corporation. Like that's very bad. But so they're having all these little issues right now. They're going through. The stock price is a little bit down right now. Like it's not going up like usual. But with that being said, with all these things happening, the fundamentals of Facebook hasn't changed, and so they're experiencing all this growth and they have great fundamentals and they're looking towards the future as opposed to other companies that focus on the short term. I think Facebook is focusing on the long term in the sense that they're spending a lot of money right now on things such as privacy, on things such as encryption, just making their site secure. And they're trying to handle the issues that they have going on right now. And so for the long term, for 2019 going forward, I think Facebook is a great pick. um, if there's any risk factors to Facebook, is that these privacy concerns could lead to people stop using Facebook. And obviously, if you're a social media company, the one thing you should be looking out for is your daily active users and your monthly active users. That's one metric that you use to assess like social media companies. So that's one risk factor, is that people may stop using Facebook if these problems continue to happen and it kind of grows. With that being said, I think Facebook is a great pick right now. Those concerns are kind of like on the back burner, and they are dealing with them, and they are spending money on privacy for the long-term future of their company. So I think they're great fundamentally. They're going to grow to be an even better company, and I think they're going to do very well continuing on in terms of revenue and in terms of adding new people to their social media site, in terms of all the things they have going on, such as Instagram and WhatsApp. So I think going on, like, that's going to be a great stock pick.
All right. Um, my last stock pick for 2019, I have Carvana. Um, Carvana, it operates an e-commerce platform for buying used cars. Um, if you think about today, a lot of millennials, that's who Carvana is targeting. A lot of millennials, they do a lot of online shopping, spend most of their time online. And so Carvana, by this e-commerce platform, they're making it more convenient um, for you to buy a vehicle, basically. So you would go online, you would fill out, all the features you want for a car, and they'll bring the car, they'll send it right there to your front door, and it's just so convenient. And so I think it's just going to be a big disruptor for the usual car buying process, because who wants to walk into a car dealership and you go back and forth with the seller? It's just a big hassle. So Carvana is basically eliminating the middleman. Another positive about Carvana is they're projected to turn profit in 2 years. So the year 2020 or the year 2021, Carvana is supposed to post a profit. Um, Carvana also charges a premium for their convenience services, so that's a plus. And then the last thing I'll say about Carvana is this is a high growth stock, so it's mainly geared towards young investors, because right now is the way the stock market works. It goes up and down, so a young investor will be able to ride out this wave. Um, but it's like I said before, it's a high growth stock. The growth is there. The revenue has been increasing year after year, so it's a good stock. I believe it's a good stock. And yeah.
Listen, right now, convenience is the future. Like, as far as like e-commerce, people, you buy groceries online. Why not a car? Like, convenience is the future.
Like Amazon.
Mhm. Yep. All right. So, lastly, for me, my last stock pick. All right. So this one, I mean, this one is kind of like a polarizing stock in that a lot of people have a bull case for it. A lot of people have a bear case for it. Like, this stock is going to be going up so much, or like nobody should touch this stock. I'm not going to touch this stock. So it's a very polarizing stock, and that stock is Alibaba. It's a Chinese. Speaking of Amazon, it is the Chinese Amazon. Oh, amazing growth. The Chinese Amazon. Okay, and so what it is they are an e-commerce giant in China. E-commerce giant. Now, their stock has kind of been beaten recently because of the recent in 2019, and we're having in parts of 2018, the trade talks, China, the US, Donald Trump, President Xi, like they've been doing the trade war talks. So every time that's mentioned, the stock kind of takes a beating. So that's one risk factor with this stock. With that being said, the fundamentals of the stock are amazing. So just going over the fundamentals, they have double-digit revenue growth. All right. So right now, for the last earnings for the fourth quarter of 2018, they reported double-digit revenue growth, and not just double-digit revenue growth, but 41% revenue growth. Like, that's a crazy amount of growth for any company. So this company, I think, is doing very well, and the fact that they're spending so much money on the future and the long term of this company. So they mainly operate in the e-commerce sector. So they have things like Alibaba.com. They have this thing called Tmall. They have this thing called Taobao, which basically is services like different sectors. Like you'll have like business to business, peer to peer, or like things like that. So it services like the different sectors. So you kind of like corner every market of the e-commerce market. And so I think they're doing really well with that. A lot of you maybe even use AliExpress, where you can buy things cheap from China. They have double digit revenue growth. And one of the things that they're into right now, like you look at what is that thing called? Amazon Web Services, and you have Microsoft, their cloud services. So Alibaba actually has their own cloud services, and it's growing at an amazing rate. So they have an 84% year over year revenue growth for cloud, 84%. So that's growing at an amazing rate. In comparison to things like I said, Amazon Web Services and the Microsoft's cloud service. So they have that going for them. They have their e-commerce division going for them, which is at 45% revenue growth. So in all areas, like they're experiencing great revenue growth. They have a profit for the e-commerce, but as far as things like they have other different avenues such as like retail, like they're trying to redefine retail. So they have high revenue growth for that, but they are operating at a loss just because they're trying to spend a lot of money to grow these things. So that's why I'm very bullish about Alibaba, because they're spending a lot of money now to make the company better and they're focusing on the long term for this company. So their entertainment section, where they have one thing called Youku, which is like a streaming service in China. So they're spending a lot of money on content for Youku. They have this thing called New Retail, where they're trying to, like, how would you say it? Incorporate technology into the retail experience, so it's a smoother way of doing retail. So they have that. They have a canal logistics network. So it's the same thing as like Amazon's network, where they can have like all the little robots like doing everything, so humans don't have to do it in the warehouses. They kind of have that at a much bigger scale in China. And so they have all of these different things, all of these areas that they're tapping into, that I think they're going to be even more of a giant than they are today in the future. And they're spending a lot of money to do so. So in these areas such as like entertainment, logistics, they're not posting a profit in those areas as of yet, but they're spending a lot of money so that they can build it up and be a powerful, powerful company. And going back to their e-commerce section, they're posting good revenue profits, and they have a good earnings from that, a good profit from that. So just looking at the whole company as a whole, Alibaba is a great company. I see great growth in the future, and I think that in the future, this is going to be a great stock pick going from 2019 and forward. And so lastly, like I said, the first thing that I mentioned, one risk factor is the trade wars. If the trade wars do not get worked out, this could lead to a beating of the stock price. But I'm investing with the hope that the trade wars will get resolved sometime in the future. All right. And I'm a long-term investor. So these are kind of like short-term things that I'm looking at. But I feel like this is going to get resolved, and I'm looking way out to the long term, as is Alibaba looking out to the long term, investing for the future. So I'm investing for the future. So for 2019 going forward, I feel like Alibaba is going to be a great stock pick. Yeah, so that was our stock picks, our 3 top stock picks for 2019. Leave in the comments, like, what are your top stock picks for 2019 going forward? Which stocks do you think are going to be the greatest at returning investors, capital appreciation, or like whatever? Like, what are your favorite companies out right now? What do you think is going to grow and be those picks that you need to get in on right now? Leave it in the comments, and we would love to like have discourse on that. So